Testing, 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 testing. Hey everyone, so this is the first episode since 2023, which is absolutely wild because if you just randomly saw this pop up on your podcast feed, surprise, this was not planned. And for those of y'all who are new here, which is crazy, I've been seeing downloads come in every day, and there's literally not been a new podcast in 2 years. But I said if I ever brought it back, it would be in a way that feels easy and flowy and just like all the parts aligning. I really didn't want to force it. And I have something really exciting to share. I have a co-host today, and it's Carly Ray, and she has a series on TikTok and Instagram called The Girlie's Guide to Surviving College Football. And I've been loving her series, and I felt like I reached out to her and I was just like, hey, here's an idea. And then it just all like flowed and happened so fast. So I was like, okay, yes, we're meant to do this. So this project is really about giving you the Spark Notes version of what you need to know about sports when it's football season, and that seems to be everything that's going on in the background. And we are just going to give you like what you need to know about sports last week, what's coming up this week, and then just some tidbits in between. So, Carly, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this.
A change of world for me. And so whenever I entered this world, I feel like I needed like Spark Notes versions of sports, whatever it may be, college football being the biggest one. And so this is like perfect because now I get to be a part of what I felt like I needed whenever I like entered the sports scene because I had absolutely no idea what was going on.
Yeah, no, it's a whole different language. And I used to be someone who I never missed a Chiefs game, I never missed a TCU game. And then I kind of went on a hiatus when I stopped this podcast because it kind of like watching it made me sad because I was like, oh, I'm not doing the podcast anymore. It was a whole emotional roller coaster. But as I was doing some research before this episode, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how so much of this is a foreign language. And if you're not used to it, it sounds like gibberish. Literally, I saw a headline that said, probably can't find it now, but it was like 5 words. And I was like, this makes no sense. If I knew like one piece about football, I would never know. Oh, did it freeze? Oh, okay. Okay, so when you started deep diving into sports and being like, okay, I want to know what's going on, were you just asking your boyfriend at the time, now husband, a million questions?
Yes, very much so. And which like leads also into like something we'll get into a little bit later, but my first intro to like his love for sports was he let me know about his like fantasy football league, which is like very normal. I've obviously heard of fantasy football, whatever, but he actually has a dynasty league with his friends, which if you don't know what that is, because I obviously didn't,
No, I don't.
it's like an ongoing league. And so they don't start over every year with like redrafting or anything like that. Like they just like the team, like the players they have now, they have those players year after year after year. And for like the start of new years, they just like read they don't redraft essentially. I'm like explaining it in a really bad way, but they don't ever start over. Like the players they have now will be the players they have next season unless they make a trade, unless like someone retires and they like draft someone new, stuff like that. And so like they have a whole constitution, they have I mean, it's really intense. And so for me going from like nothing to like getting married into this dynasty league, I was like, this is actually crazy.
That's
And
like a
so
whole commitment.
It's a huge commitment. But luckily for me, all of the other wives in this dynasty league, we have like our own separate fantasy league, which is
You
way more
do?
fun. Yes,
Wait,
it's way
that's
more
so
fun.
cute.
We have like no stake in the game. All of the boys laugh at us because we like don't put any money on it. We don't put any consequences on it. It really is just to like honestly make fun of them because they're so serious about it and we're so unserious about it. Like all of the girls choose like a theme to draft from. And so there's like one girl, she only drafts guys that have been like associated with the state of Ohio. Like my team this year, I only drafted like Nepo babies or like people that have benefited from like
Who would some of those be?
like I drafted Bo Nix, I drafted Shador Sanders. I can pull it up. I'm trying to think of other ones, but so I like literally asked ChatGPT who is an active NFL player right now that has benefited from like a family member being also in the NFL or like associated with the NFL. And so, yeah, I
Note about ChatGPT though, when I was doing research, I was like, the girlies need this podcast because they cannot rely on ChatGPT because I was asking it like what's going on next weekend, what happened last weekend, and one of the searches it literally said there are no college football games happening the first week of October in 2025. And I was like, oh,
no, for
incorrect.
sure. Well, that's wrong.
And then I did like another search for like a specific team and it said like just absolutely not playing against the team that was actually on the schedule. So,
what the heck?
not reliable.
Yeah. No,
If you need
that's why they need us.
fact on the go, we are here. We will give you all your little fun fact trivia
Yes.
tidbits. Yeah, maybe don't chat GPT it unless you know you can fact check it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how all's to say is like I jumped in head first and I just like spent weeks and weeks and weeks asking my husband questions over and over and over again. And like I still do because I don't fully understand what's going on. But like now I know enough to get by, which is ultimately the goal of the podcast is like, how can you know enough to like be a part of the conversation and not feel like so excluded, but not have to be so invested into it that you're like giving your life away to the fall season of football.
Exactly, because even if you were to turn on a podcast about sports, I feel like they go so deep into the nuance that it's going to be 4 hours of your time and you still never really figured out what
Yeah.
was going on. And that's probably a good tangent to like talk about the Cowboys game that happened last weekend where they ended in a tie. And I feel like that is like the number one question when watching a game that's close is someone is going to say, does it ever end in a tie?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Okay. And honestly, I didn't even know that it could end in a tie because, again, we like my house, my husband basically, he loves college football and we like casually watch the NFL. But I was like, wait, how did things end in a tie? Because I've sat through football games where they've gone to like 6 overtimes and there's always a winner.
It's like
Yes.
2 a.m.
Yes. And so I was like, wait, they ended in a tie and there's only one overtime. Like that sounds so crazy. But my husband like went into this full deep dive of like why there's ties and like how it's a bad rule. And he's like, you should just play till there's a winner and all of this stuff. But it is so crazy that like you can technically tie in the NFL.
So, okay, I have two thoughts on this. One, when I was reading about this game, they played against the Packers, and there was this article, I think it was like the NBC affiliate in Dallas, and they interviewed a psychologist because this tie rocked people's worlds. Like fans are not
What?
okay that it tied, and so they interviewed the psychologist. I'll link the article. And like I kind of laughed, but it's like funny but not funny because if it's really rocking people's world that deeply.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like kind of crazy.
but the psychologist was basically like, it's left fans with no closure. And I was like,
Oh my gosh, that is way too intense for me. Like,
right?
that is crazy.
Like, what do you mean you needed closure? Yeah, I get if a player, maybe it's like a huge game for you and it just, you really thought it was going to end differently. Maybe you
Yeah.
need closure.
And I get like I too would have enjoyed a winner more than I would have enjoyed a tie. But like at
Framing
the
it
end of
like
the
needing
day,
closure.
yeah, I like went to sleep and moved on, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sports is like such a psychological experience because people are so loyal and so tied. And sometimes it's people who to a team that they've never even lived in that city before. There's like
Right.
one memory where in third grade they liked this one player, and now they're like a San Francisco fan for the rest of their lives and have
No,
never even
that's
been
so
to
true.
San Francisco.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really fascinating. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was that they tied. So
Yeah.
when you were asking your husband about it, what was what did he say is the reason for the tie? Just to end the
So
game?
yes. So basically, there was like a lot of rules before the 70s, and then after the 70s is like when they came up with like you can tie. And then even from then, they changed like the overtime rules and stuff. But basically, they just didn't want it to happen like again, it does in college football where you can go to like 6, 7, 8, 9 overtimes. They were just like, we need to end this game. And so now there's like one 10-minute overtime. But even then, there's like a lot of nuance to it because technically both teams are supposed to get a possession of the ball, which is like a new rule too, or newish. It's like the
Yeah.
newest rule. But if the team that gets the ball first gets the ball and they go and score a touchdown, then the game's over. Like then the other team doesn't even get the ball.
Yeah, I
And so
feel
it's
like
just
that's
like it's so random and like he obviously has a lot more details on it and was like sharing those with me and I was just like, okay, give me the highlights. Like I don't need to know all of the nuance, but it is just like
yeah.
such a bizarre thing.
Yeah. So fans don't like this rule, right?
Yeah, the
Is his
consensus is
perspective.
that yeah, they want a winner. Like there needs to be a winner and a loser. So I'm not really sure why
Do
this
you think
rule has
players, I mean, from a competitive standpoint, I can see how players would want it, but also from what I've heard, NFL is just like so much more intense physically than college that maybe going to like six overtimes in NFL physicality would actually be way too much.
yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know. I
I don't
mean,
know.
I'm sure someone's saying, well, they make $1 million and this is what they signed up for. But I have heard people talk about the transition from college to NFL and they're just
Yeah.
like, whoa, my body feels so different.
Yeah. And I also know that, well, like NFL is just obviously way more corporate than college football.
Yeah,
And so it's like we have to end the game because we have to play the next game because we have advertisers that need to advertise during X, Y, and Z game. So we can't afford to
that's
go
true.
to 6 overtimes because we have millions of dollars waiting to be spent for this game that's coming right up after this. So I don't know if that goes into it as well. Um, but yeah, it is just it's like a crazy rule and I don't really understand it.
Yeah. No, but that's so interesting. I also saw that it was a high scoring game. It was like 40 to 40 or something like that.
Yeah,
Is
which
that, I didn't watch it. Did you watch it?
we watched part of it. Yeah.
Was it one of those like situations where it was just like offense playing against the offense and there was just no defense on either side?
Yeah. And well, to be honest, and I've been in Dallas my whole life. So I feel like I can say this. Like we all know the Cowboys are so terrible. So I'm even shocked that they scored 40 points anyways. Like that alone to me is a shocker. Especially because the Packers are really good. But it was just kind of like, well, we're going back and forth. We're going back and forth, like back and forth and back and forth. And it just felt like it was never ending. And then obviously it wasn't because they ended up in the tie.
Wild. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
always
which
curious when I see a high scoring game. Is it like both teams are not that good, both teams are really good, or like there's just no defense, and so it's like
Yeah.
sometimes a tie like that can be a really interesting game, and sometimes a tie like that and high scoring can be the most boring game in the world because it's just
Yeah.
like they're just passing the ball.
Yeah. And then there was also, I feel like, on one hand, I am surprised that the Cowboys played and scored 40 points. On the other hand, there's like obviously a lot of drama surrounding the Cowboys and then them playing the Packers specifically because of the whole Micah Parsons trade. And so maybe they just had a little get under them anyway
Yeah.
because of all the Micah Parsons drama and like him coming back and all of that stuff. So that to me is like the most interesting part of sports. I'm like, I want to know the behind the scenes, like what's the tea, who's fighting who, like why does this game matter because of these players. Like that's what's more interesting to me for sports. And so like that's why I particularly enjoyed like a game like this, because I'm like, oh yeah, we just traded Micah, now he's coming back, it's like his big return, like what's gonna happen. And then it ended up in a tie.
So speaking of the tea, last week on your series, you shared some college football tea about LSU and Ole Miss. So
Yes.
tell us about the little.
Okay, yes, I can tell you all of the like the NFL, I don't have the ins and outs, but the college football, I definitely have the ins and outs. And this one was particularly interesting, like you said, because it was like a big game anyway for LSU, but it was like an even bigger game because the head coach of Ole Miss, his daughter is dating the starting linebacker for LSU. And so them going to play LSU, like his daughter having like an emotional investment in this game against LSU, like just the drama around it, like that was the crazy part to me. I thought that was so fun. Like I wanted to know, like I wanted to see the daughter immediately after the game. Like I wanted to know who was she going to first, like her dad or her boyfriend, you know, because LSU obviously lost. And so or if you didn't know, LSU lost. And so I was like, was she going to like congratulate her dad first or like going to console her boyfriend first? Like that's what I wanted to see.
Her outfit, I meant to. I saw her do a little reel that she was like driving there, but was her outfit like team neutral or
Oh my gosh, that's actually a great question. I
see?
need to look.
Um,
I didn't look after. I was looking at her socials and stuff before the game, but I didn't even look after.
I hate when you look up these articles and then they just use old pictures from random.
Okay, it's giving neutral. She's like wearing a blue dress,
Okay.
pretty neutral, and then she has like a tiny purple and gold 40 at the bottom of her dress.
Okay.
So it's like a little nod, a little nod to her boothing on the dress, but the
Okay.
dress itself is pretty neutral.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Ole Miss used to be really bad at football?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a new era for them.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
when you said they won, I was like, huh,
They're actually 5-0 this season, which is
wow,
crazy. I know.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So good for them.
good. I know. Eventually the pendulum swings
Yes.
because, oh my gosh, like UNC. So coming up this weekend is UNC versus Clemson, which Clemson had like a crazy winning streak for years. Like they were
Mm-hmm.
always like a top four.
Yeah.
And then UNC obviously now has Bill Belichick, which had as the head coach, which has been bleak to say the least.
Yes.
TCU blew them out of the water
Yeah.
the first game,
Yeah.
which was so fulfilling. The next day, I was like, Remy, she has a TCU bandana and a TCU collar. I was like, Remy, we are going on walks. We are,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
in DC, so many people are from North Carolina. I was just loving it.
Yeah.
But I think when people saw this summer UNC and Clemson on the calendar, they were like, this is going to be such a good game. It's going to be one of probably the most highly watched games. And I don't know, like
Now it's kind of
Clemson
just
has
like,
won like one game, I think, and it
yeah.
was preseason. Or not,
Well,
is
they're
it called
they're
preseason in college football? I don't know.
I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's like conference play and then like
Okay.
non-conference play.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because usually the first games in the season, they're playing like random schools,
Yeah.
which I learned a lot of times this because I used to be like, this is so unfair that this team is playing this small of a school. And someone explained to me that these smaller schools actually pay the big schools for those games. And I was so they're like, don't feel bad for they want
They're like, they're fine.
I was like, oh, okay.
Well, and it used to be, this is like total like tangential, but it used to be a bigger deal too for like conference games because there only 4 teams went to the playoffs. And so like you basically had to have an undefeated season if you wanted to make the playoffs. But then this past year they changed that, and so it's obviously still a big deal, but like a little bit less pressure. Now, I wouldn't say you can go 1-3 like Clemson is right now and like have a good shot at it. But for them playing UNC, who's 2-2, it's like it's not that much of an exciting game anymore as like people probably first saw it being.
I mean, I think people really thought Bill was truly going to make UNC go to the Natty. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
tough.
people thought it was like a done deal.
Yeah, I think so too. And so now I'm like, ooh,
Do you think,
yikes.
how much do you think Jordan is running behind the scenes? Or if it's just like for the headlines?
Oh my gosh, I'm like full camp on like she's running everything.
I think so too.
Like granted, it's probably not true, but I've been on like I've seen TikToks or like articles or, threads on X that it's like she's at every practice, she's, telling him what to do, blah, blah, blah. And I just obviously love the drama. Again, I love the drama in the sports. Like that's why I want to know about sports, is because I want the behind the scenes drama. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, give it to me. Like that's crazy. Tell me more. Like what is she doing? I want all of
Yes.
the reports. I want all the details because I just think that is absolutely hilarious.
There's no denying that this girl is savvy. You don't just
Yeah.
passively
No.
create this whole world.
No. It's crazy.
You do have to wonder though if she is like, oh, oopsies, like we could be on a yacht right now, but instead I'm having to watch him lose every single weekend. Like, do you think she's feeling embarrassed? Or like she's like, no, I still have my master plan.
I think she's like, it's all a part of my master plan because I think she very much sits in the camp of like all press is good press, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. I believe that too.
So if she's like, whether good or bad, as long as his or my name's in the headlines, like we're fine.
100%. 100%. Okay, so that's a game that I think people would have thought would be a big game, but won't be. So what are your top games that are kind of going to be talked about this weekend?
This weekend, there's honestly, after last weekend, it kind of looks like a mediocre weekend just because I feel like so much happened last weekend, which is good because we could all use a break after the craziness of last weekend. But there are some good ones this weekend that are usually like they're happening in the afternoon or the evening games, which actually I will be in Ohio for the Ohio State game, which is so fun. So
Oh, fun.
I won't be watching some of them, but totally fine. Like, I'd much rather go to the game. Like that's way more fun for me. But in the afternoon, Florida versus Texas, not Florida State. Florida versus Texas is happening, which will be kind of interesting because everyone is saying obviously like this is the Arch era, like this is Texas time, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
which
Every year.
every year and
Every year. They're the
yeah.
Dallas Cowboys to me. Like they have great branding and they're always
Yes.
going to say this is their year.
Yes, which I feel like I sit in an interesting position because obviously I'm Texas born and raised, but I have no affiliation to like the University of Texas. And so for their first game of this like Arch era to be against Ohio State and for them to lose, I was like, oh, all right, well, maybe not.
Yeah.
But they play Florida. So they also say is they play Florida this weekend. it'll be interesting to see. I think this is probably like the first good team they've played since Ohio State. And so
Yeah.
people are kind of saying like, has Arch gotten better? Was the Ohio State game just like the first game, tough scene, but is he going to improve? There definitely going to be a lot of eyes on this game just to see, because this will be like Texas's real first competition since the Ohio State game. So, and it's another road game for them. So that always adds just like another layer to it.
Yes. And speaking of Nepo babies, Arch Manning.
Yeah, exactly. If he were in the NFL, he would have been on my fantasy team. Yep.
It's
And
a matter
then,
of time.
yeah. And then Vanderbilt is also playing Alabama.
Who
So
used
that
to be
one's,
notoriously bad at football.
well, in Alabama is notoriously fantastic at football,
Yes.
is now kind of looking mediocre at football, even though they did win last weekend against Georgia, which is great for them. But for the Arch Manning era to be now the Nick Saban era is long gone from Alabama football. So that's tough for them. But the Alabama Vanderbilt game should be a pretty good one to watch. Alabama's definitely like the front runner in the SEC right now, but it like wouldn't be the craziest thing if Vanderbilt won. So that one will be a pretty good one. And then the other one that we're going to keep our eye on is the Miami Florida State game. So Florida State lost last weekend, which was like a really, really big upset. And this week, Miami Florida State is a big rivalry game. And so it'll be interesting to see how they play coming off of that tough loss last weekend.
Do you know if they're playing at Miami or?
They're going to be at Florida State.
I was going to say.
It's not an away game for them, luckily.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm so excited that you're going to how often do you get to go to Ohio State games?
I usually go once a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so this is like my one a year. It's fun because my husband who went to Ohio State, he still has a ton of friends that live there. So we like get to go see them. We make a weekend out of it. And then we get to go to a game, which is really fun. And I went to the Ohio State Michigan game last year.
Ooh, I bet that was wild.
It was wild. And so I'm hoping that, I think they're playing Minnesota this weekend. I'm hoping that this one is a little bit more chill than Michigan game last year.
No, I'm hoping to go to the TCU West Virginia game because they're playing at West Virginia, which is like 2.5-hour drive.
Oh, yeah,
I really wanted to go to UNC too, but then I thought it's going to be impossible to get tickets. And maybe it would have been, but now in hindsight,
yeah,
maybe not. But yeah, so, and I feel like end of October, driving through West Virginia, it's going to be like so fall perfect.
Oh yeah, that's going to be gorgeous. Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
everyone's
going to
like,
be so fun.
Morgantown's going to be so wild. Like, are you going to be ready for that? I was like, I went to school in Texas. I know,
I'm good.
Like, I'm really not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be West Virginia's a different kind of tailgate situation.
Yeah.
And very much different from TCU.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm expecting that vibe to be very different, but I'm not like scared to go.
No. Scared is, yeah, no. You're like, I'm good.
It's a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else that we need to make sure that like we take from last weekend that someone can bring into this weekend? I'm scared to freeze my computer.
I need to look at my notes.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little stressed about the TCU Colorado game. I was very stressed for the TCU Arizona State game because, well, first of all the conference realignment is like really throwing me off. It makes no sense. Arizona State is in the Big 12. It makes no sense Colorado is in the Big 12. I'm one of those people, I feel like I'm 100 years old because I'm like, it should be Baylor, Texas, Oklahoma.
Yes. No, I'm the same.
TCU hasn't even been in the Big 12 for that long, yet I'm like, they should have put SMU in the Big 12 instead of putting SMU in the ACC because it makes more sense for SMU to play Baylor and TCU, and like it's all the same students, really. Yeah. Like very, the Venn diagram
Yes, the
very much
crossover
involved.
is much more, yeah, if you were to split it up like that. There's like so many times where something happens or like an article comes out or something happens with one of the teams or things like, the re-conferencing or whatever. And I'll like ask my husband, I'll be like, what is going on? Like, why are they doing this? Like, what's the deal? What does this mean? Like, how do I understand this? And he's always just like, you're asking really good questions. No one really knows, but you're asking the right questions. No one just has the answers to them, because I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, I don't understand. That doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. And he's like, yep, again, really great question.
Time zone stuff is wild. Like, you can play against a team that's on the East Coast in your conference, but you're on the West Coast and the times are wild. I was watching
Yeah.
the TCU Arizona State game, provided I'm on East Coast, not where TCU is,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a night game on a Friday. So I was like at 11:30 p.m. on a Friday
Yeah.
being like, okay, this is not what I want to be doing.
Yes, I
But
know.
great,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And it's like, oh no, that's perfect. Many of nights where luckily we're central and so we kind of like fall in the middle, but there's a ton of weekends where I'm like, oh, that must have been the last game, like it's 11 p.m. We're going to bed. And my husband's like, University of Hawaii is playing. Like
Right.
they're kicking off right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me sit back down then.
Also, how exhausting to be a player for University of Hawaii
Oh my
with the travel.
gosh. I cannot believe that they like even still have a football team. Like, who is signing up for that?
No, that's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it sounds horrible to me, but it all
Agree.
did before a couple of years ago. So,
It's so true. It's so true. But yeah, so the Colorado TCU game. So the first time we played Colorado was right after the national championship game that we played in, which was like we lost by 55 points, 60
mhm.
points. I don't know. It was rough. So then that next season, the first game that we played, after having to deal with such a terrible loss where everyone's like, see, you didn't deserve to be in there, all these things. Georgia just was like an NFL team.
Mhm.
We played Colorado and Colorado won. And it just like felt like such a like extra defeat. And
Yeah.
then we had a terrible season. I don't know if it was terrible, but it wasn't great.
Mhm.
And I feel like this year is kind of our first year back since that that season we went to the national championship with our current coach, who it was his first um, season with TCU that they took
Mhm.
him to the national championship, which is wild. But anyway, so now I just feel like Colorado kind of has our number, like,
Yeah.
and
You're like waiting for
every
it.
year it's just kind of like, okay,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
it's like a lot of apprehension around that. You're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, like I know it's coming, but I really don't want it to."
yeah, and like with like Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, like he makes such headlines and he's so loud that
Mhm.
I think it also is like something that like when you see someone just like really, really, really hyping up
Yeah.
that team, it's kind of like the UNC thing. Like everyone talked about Bill Belichick the whole time and no one even mentioned TCU at all until
Mhm.
after the fact. And it's kind of like
Yeah.
this too. It's like it always feels like we're the underdog. But
Mhm.
from what it sounds like, people are expecting TCU to win. But I'm just always gonna feel like TCU is the underdog.
Yeah. Everyone needs a chip.
Yeah. Well, also people don't realize that TCU is like 8,000 students.
Yeah,
When I
that's
talk to people,
crazy.
they usually are like, it's like 30,000. It's like Baylor size, right? I'm like, no.
No.
There's like, I think it's like 9,000 including grad school.
My
It's a
That is
small school.
crazy. Yeah.
My class of senior year, I had some with like 5 students in them.
That's like
Yeah.
my size classes, and
Yeah,
I went to
yeah.
like
You went to a small
you
school too. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's so funny.
Um, how do we want to wrap this up? I'm like, I could talk,
I
keep
know.
talking.
Like I need to look
Um,
at our notes. I will say, circling back to last weekend because it was so crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Last weekend was like an insane weekend, and there was like it's like a few crazy things that happened. Just kind of like close the loop on all of those is the Georgia Alabama game. Like I said, everyone needs a chip, and Georgia's chip is Alabama. Everyone said that like Georgia could be anybody but Alabama, no matter what team Alabama has, and that like continues to prove true. So here's like some conversation starters. If you're like in a group of people and they're talking about college football, you could talk about last weekend. Like Georgia cannot figure out how to beat Alabama, which is crazy. And then also the Penn State Oregon game. It's like a huge game for Oregon and Penn. Well, it was a huge game for Penn State because it was like their whiteout game. It was their home game, and they went to double overtime, and Penn State threw an interception, and Oregon won the game. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, that's rough.
yeah. So it's just like really unfortunate because Penn State just keeps inventing sad ways to lose, as my husband would say. And this again, just another sad way for them to lose. So that one was pretty tough. And
I
then
do
of
love the
course,
Oregon Duck, though. I think the duck is my favorite mascot.
he's so cute.
He's so cute.
Yeah, he's so cute, and his rear end is so large. And I just think that's the funniest thing in the world.
Okay, so were there any other um, wild things? I saw Virginia won and rushed the field, and it ended up being kind of problematic. A bunch of kids got hurt,
Yes.
which is
Um,
scary.
I actually
Because
just watched some
you're
videos on
not
that.
allowed to rush the field, right?
Honestly, I have no
Everyone does
idea.
it, but
Everyone
every
does
time
it.
it happens, I'm like, the school got fined or like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Yeah, I was watching some videos on that and it looked really bad. But that was like from that big upset game. And so
Yeah.
they were freaking out. And then obviously the only other one was the LSU Ole Miss game where LSU lost. But the Ole Miss won, and his daughter's probably mixed feelings about it.
That's where we're really invested.
Yeah, because that's what we really want to know.
Exactly. Okay, well, thank you, Carly. I'm excited to chat again next week. And for any of y'all listening, I'm going to link all of Carly's details in the show notes. I'll link mine, and then feel free to send us any questions, anything that you're curious, that you've been scared to ask. And this is a safe space. You can ask it
Yes,
here.
very much so. Like, please hear from me. I knew absolutely nothing. Like, I'm happy to help.
All right. I will talk to y'all next week.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Carly.